It's possible, unlikely.
What's up, everybody? So,
you know,
I don't know who's watching right now. I don't know how many people are watching right now, but you're hanging out with me, so let's go hang out.
It's okay for team because we have time. You got 6 weeks to try to get these guys back on the mound. So we'll see. It's just hard to tell with injuries until they're
This
there.
is my dog, Little Bear.
There are chances of success.
And all we do is watch sports, gamble,
when they get there is going to depend on
any kind of gambling,
and certainly
pool.
For now, they're going to try to cobble together some good starts.
Any kind of sports, soccer, baseball, basketball. And we are actually in a state that has legalized weed, alcohol, and cigarettes. So that will be on my video.
Meantime, the San Francisco Giants also have a slim lead in their division in the NL West as the Dodgers are hard charging. And the Giants also made a splash, trading for Chris Bryant, trading away another All-Star. Jim, what does this trade mean for San Francisco as they add a quality back to an already deep lineup?
Yeah, they really needed to add Bryant, and they didn't give up as an elite prospect as the other teams did in these trades with the Cubs. So, I thought he did the best of all the GMs that were trying to trade for these all-star caliber players. The thing that you love about Bryant is that he can play first base, third base, left field, right field, all average or above, and you can even put him in center field for a period of time. That positional flexibility really helps when there's injuries. And when we get to August and September, we're going to see a record number of injuries just because we're coming off that pandemic.
I think we got the Dodgers later today. I think that's what that just said. We're talking about baseball. And Olympics. And we got the Olympics. Also, I want to throw out there for anybody that has not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. You don't have to follow it, just, news, updates, that always works.
So আপনারা যারা কানাডা ভার্সেস ব্রাজিলের ফুটবল খেলাটা দেখতে চান তো তাদের জন্য এই ভিডিওটি কষ্ট করে আপনারা একটু সম্পূর্ণভাবে দেখুন, তাহলে আপনারা খেলাগুলো দেখতে পাবেন। ইউটিউবে হাতে খুঁজে ইউটিউবে পাবেন না। তো এখানে দেখতে পাচ্ছেন অলিম্পিকের সকল ধরনের খেলা আছে।
Okay.
Home is where the heart is, so fill your face.
We got college coming up, Olympics, baseball,
Subway,
soccer.
alongside Amanda here. Amanda, a year ago, Oklahoma and Texas said they were looking to join the SEC.
Yes, you say a year ago because it feels like a year ago. It was actually only 8 days ago that this news rocked the world of college sports. Mark it on your calendar because it is now official. July 30th, 2021, Oklahoma and Texas will become members of the SEC. It is a colossal move in the world of college football and college sports in universities. Founding members of the Big 12, they are now leaving their media rights with the Big 12 that ends in 2025. Of course, one of the biggest questions is, will they actually wait that long to join the SEC? Could it be perhaps sooner? And what now happens to the rest of the Big 12? Let's welcome in the man who is abreast of this entire situation the entire time, college football writer Dennis Dodd. Dennis, there have been a lot of moves in the past 8 days. Explain what this one today means.
Well, this is the next of a day to get Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, and probably the last one on their parts. Texas and Oklahoma today both made their intention known that they intend to leave.
Also, I want to let everybody know I have no rights to the background that is going. Background
Most
music.
important question now is when.
Games that
Krista,
goes on in the
the AD at Texas, has already tweeted it is the school's intention. Remember that word, intention, to join in 2025. That would coincide with the end of the Big 12 media rights contract with Fox and ESPN. But they've always reserved the right. There's that caveat that they've stated throughout this whole process that they've reserved the right. It is our intention right now, they keep saying. I expect a bloody legal fight. I mentioned that earlier this week between the Big 12, the SEC, these two schools, to make it as difficult as possible on the Big 12 part to have them go. So I kind of predicted, maybe 2023. If you really squint your eyes, you can see 2022, but there's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars changing hands if that happens, because both teams right now would owe the Big 12 just an early exit tax $80 million each. Now, does ESPN, out of the $150 million they've saved from the Longhorn Network going away, help finance that? No one knows. But for people to think it's going to be 2025, I think, is a little bit short-sighted. I think it's going to be really, really quick.
Yeah, I was about to say, Dennis,
Texas and Oklahoma going to join
are Oklahoma and Texas, the SEC, going into this saying, look, we really think like this is what we're aiming for. If you're those schools, what are you aiming for?
I think this goes to ESPN. ESPN wants to get its hands on that inventory as soon as possible, because they're not going to pay the existing SEC teams anymore. That contract is locked in place till 2032. What helps ESPN when they get Texas, Oklahoma, increases subscriptions, it increases advertising, it increases sponsorships, and the sooner they can get more, say, Texas Vanderbilt games than Mississippi State Vanderbilt games, you know what I'm going through here. The brands they got are two of the tops in the country, and that's why they got them. So it's really an ESPN play, and how much they want to fight this. Under the table, I think, they don't even have to tell anybody if they finance the legal battle, but after speaking to Big 12 sources this week, this is not going to be quick. It's going to be very bloody, but I do think it's going to be before 2025.
Dennis, you were at SEC Media Days when all of this started to drop. I mean, it was just a proverbial bomb dropped in the middle of SEC Days. And as soon as everybody heard it, they're like, well, that's it. There's no more Big 12 after this. Now that you've had about 8 days to breathe, to see how the situation unfolds, what's the vibe you're getting in regards to what now happens to the Big 12?
That's my biggest question right now, Amanda. Who has the leverage here? Does the Big 12 with its 8 remaining members, or does the American? Or does the Pac-12 going and get some number of those Big 12 teams? You saw a report this week where Bob Bowlesby accused ESPN actually of conspiring with the American to take all 8 teams in. I don't know if the American had that juice, because still the Big 12 has that $37 million payday with those 8 existing teams that exist for their next 5 seasons until that contract runs out. Is that enough for them to pull in the team and go to 12 or something like that and create more inventory than they had before?
Or is there security in the American for the Big 12?
I'm a sports watcher.
That happened for the Big 12 even to exist
All
going
sports,
forward.
I love
All
all
8
sports.
teams have to do this.
I gamble on all sports, every
I
sport,
think
every
it's
game.
the doomsday scenario that a lot of people around the Big 12 dread, that you could just see the conference scatter to the 4 wins. If somebody goes to the Mountain West, some goes to the American, Big 10, Pac-12 is in play. That's the problem. And they are meeting, I should mention, as we speak. The
So,
Big 12,
in the gambling world,
these
I am
meetings to
considered
discuss
a
next
square.
steps right now.
So
Shooting
that's
to
the
be
Big
a
12 and
professional
the
gambler.
SEC, and we now know Oklahoma, Texas, they are headed to the SEC at some point in the next
I will
couple
teach
of years.
everybody
In
the math
regards to
about
the
it.
rest of the
I
conferences,
have read books.
what is their
I've
next
studied
move
it.
that we should expect?
I'm a
Well, I think
beginner.
there's 2
which is
questions
a
to be
square.
asked. Next up is what is the ACC going
If you
to
have
do?
any questions,
They are
you can
locked
comment.
in to what most industry insiders say is
give
a
me a
bad
phone call,
contract. They signed it long-term,
720-689-3767.
low value at about $35 million per school. Sounds like a lot, isn't? But soon the ACC will be last among the Power 5 in revenue. There's nothing they can do to get out of that short of Notre Dame joining the conference. We already know that's not going to happen. At least it's not going to happen now. So does the ACC do some kind of partnership
Also,
with the Big 10?
I
Do they go crazy and go
let
bi-coastal
everybody
with
know
the
if they have a
Pac-12?
specific
There's
game
been no
or
indications of
a
that
player.
yet, or do they just ride it
I
out?
could,
These
spend a
the
little bit
reason
more
Oklahoma
time
and Texas
researching that player.
left, that's
For the
stated by
props,
Oklahoma President Joseph
game
Harris
props,
just
player
now,
props.
is that
At the heart of every Buick SUV
Line, run line.
current eligible non-G lessons. Get this low mileage lease on this.
the Big 12
Also,
is the
if
last
a bet
place
is
in
worth
terms,
betting
not in
on,
terms of money,
tell
but in
you
terms
what
of
your odds
renewing
are.
their contract. They
What's
have
the
to wait 4 more years
probability
now
of your
to renew
winning
that
it?
contract. The Big 10 has to wait till 2022 or 23, so they're right
What's
in
your
line. The
probability of the
Pac-12
outcome that
is
you're
up
going to
in
be getting?
2024.
going
So that
to
was
be-
one of the reasons they didn't want to wait
And
to
the
have to
odds
renegotiate.
Of that
The
outcome is
ACC
going
has to do something dramatic. And then the other name that's out there is US.
Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. The Chicago White Sox winning the race for a star. Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. The Chicago White Sox winning the race for star Cubs reliever Craig Kimbrell, the 8-time All-Star, having as good a season as any, and he's off to pitch for the White Sox. An incredible .49 ERA over 36 2/3 innings. He's playing out the year on a $16 million salary and is under team control next season by a club option at a matching price. In return, the Cubs receive second baseman Nick Madrigal and pitcher Cody Hoyer in the other end of that deal. Of course, the second baseman follows up the fact that
Also,
Cesar
I play
Hernandez
Xbox, PlayStation.
for yesterday.
That's a little bit what my video is going to be about. Sports,
Let's now
gambling,
welcome in MLB executive and our MLB insider, Jim Bowden, who was the one who
video
confirmed this
games,
report. Jim,
video
your reaction
games.
to the trade in terms of what the White Sox are getting and what the Cubs are getting in return?
casinos.
Well, Jeremy, look, the
News
White
of all
Sox could have stood pat at the deadline, and if they had done that, they were going to win the division anyway. But this deal, getting Craig Kimbrell, gives them a legitimate shot now of getting to the World Series and maybe winning the World Series. Craig Kimbrell, as you mentioned, is 0.4 ERA this year. The future Hall of Famer is completely back to his dominant self, and he joins a bullpen that already has one of the best closers in the game in Liam Hendricks, and another young right-hander in Michael Kopech to throw 101. So now they've got 3 guys that can just dominate, which means that they lead after 7 innings, they're going to win most of their games, if not all of their games. And the last time I remember a bullpen this good was the 1990 Reds when we won the World Championship thanks to Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton, and Randy Myers. That's how good this bullpen is. You can see right there on the graphic, 23 out of 25 save opportunities with a 0.7 whip and how about 15 strikeouts per night. That's how good he is. He's a difference maker, especially in October. So now the White Sox have all the elements, right? They've got the 4 starters that can run the table in October, and they've got the back end of the bullpen that's going to be the best in the sport when they get there. They're in great shape. Now, it came at a cost. I thought the Cubs did really well to get Nick Madrigal. Now, certainly Madrigal
Now, do I know what the outcome is going to be?
He'll be back next year. He's
Do I have an
controllable for
educated
5
guess?
more years
Maybe.
after this. And this is a kid that's going to hit for high average. He's a very good defensive player, and he'll be the long-term solution for the Chicago Cubs at second base. They also get a good arm in Cody Horner. I love the stuff that comes out of his arm. Probably a seventh inning, eighth inning kind of setup reliever when fully developed here. But this is a deal that works for both sides. A dramatic deal for the Chicago White Sox here. This is a deal that's going to move the needle in their chances of winning a world championship.
Yeah, certainly the odds for the world championship are going to change over the course of the next few hours, possibly, with the trade deadline here. And when you looked at coming into this day, Jim, I mean, the White Sox were kind of mentioned in passing. It was expected Kimbrel might be someone that the Dodgers would look at. The Braves were mentioned. Were you surprised that the White Sox made this deal?
Well, we had heard earlier today there were some rumblings that the White Sox were in on Kimbrel, but there were 10 teams, from what I understand, that were in the mix here, including the Red Sox and the other teams that you mentioned. And at the end of the day, the one thing the White Sox could offer is an everyday position player that's major league ready and a bullpen arm. So the Cubs got the best offer. They didn't want to go with another teenage high-end prospect like they did in the Anthony Rizzo trade with the Yankees. They really wanted to get major league ready players back. And the White Sox were the one team in the trade negotiations that were willing to
watch the news. I watch all the sports. I watch all the
games.
games.
That
in my
the
background.
White Sox are going to have in Kimbrel. That was the key.
I have no rights to any of the news, any of the sports,
as you mentioned, I mean, they've got a hefty lead in their division. They're 8 games up. So, I mean, this is a move that's obviously made for late in the season. But in terms of what he brings to this team and what he adds to this bullpen, in your eyes, like, is this a move that solidifies this bullpen as the best in baseball? And for their World Series odds, I mean, in terms of being a contender, where does this move them to in your eyes?
I do know the teams.
Well, it takes them from having to play a 9-inning game to a 7-inning game. When you got Hendricks and Kimbrel as your back two end, and we don't know who's going to close. Maybe they're going to share the job. Maybe Hendricks stays in the role. Maybe Kimbrel gets it. Hendricks sets it. Doesn't really matter.
I'm sitting at home,
it's
and
all
I'm
about winning here.
I'm sitting in my office.
If they lead after 7, they're going to win most or all of the games.
And
when
I'm
you turn the
allowed
ball over to
everybody
these guys. So
to
that's a huge difference maker here for the Chicago White Sox. And, you look at the teams they're going to be facing in the postseason, and whether that be Houston or Boston or Tampa, the one thing we're going to know, they're going to have the best back end of the bullpen of any team that makes the playoffs.
In terms of the trades that we've seen so far up to this point, Jim, how would you grade this particular deal?
I mean, look, you got to give the White Sox an A, and I think you got to give a B+ to the Chicago Cubs in the deal. I mean, anytime you can get a player of this magnitude when you're 8 games up in the division, it's game-changing, right? I mean, I think the Dodgers get the A++, right? Because you get Scherzer and Turner as long as that deal actually finalizes, which they're close to it, but they haven't quite got all the I's and crossed all the T's yet. But after that, I think you see what teams like the White Sox, the Blue Jays have done. They significantly changed their chances of playing October baseball, no doubt about it. But the thing I like about it from this particular situation of the White Sox is how you set up for the short series. Because in the short series, those last 2 innings are extremely important when you're trying to win a World Series, and they're going to have the advantage whoever they play.
I guess I am.
As you mentioned, Nick Madrigal is out for the year. They got Cesar Hernandez yesterday in a deal, did the Cubs. So now when you look at the Cubs, what does this mean moving forward for them?
They don't have a weakness, right? You just got Eloy Jimenez back, and after he gets about 50, 60 at bats, he's going to start hitting his average of 100 home runs, RBIs. At some point, they're going to get Luis Robert back to play center field. And you look at the White Sox as a complete team. I mean, the White Sox have the starting pitching. They've got the bullpen. They're a good defensive team, and they're going to be able to score runs, especially when they're 100% healthy with Robert and Jimenez in the lineup.
Hernandez going to the White Sox there. Madrigal out for the year for the Cubs as part of this deal. Jim, I know you're loving this day, and you've been busy all afternoon. You're going to continue to be busy. We're going to check in with you later as these deals start to come in thick and fast. We've already had some great deals. Jimbo joining us to talk about the latest deal, the Chicago White Sox locking themselves up, one of the best relievers in baseball. Thanks very much, Jim.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake dates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a
politics, easy picks, known picks. If anybody has any feedback on picks,
Ghirardelli caramel squares.
I am open to suggestions. I don't know any picks.
Ghirardelli caramel squares. Make s'mores a bite better.
I'm in the gambling world as someone that played sports. It is now playing on the sports, all the sports that I and showing everybody what my handicap is. I am very proud of my handicap. Again, in the jargon for the gambling world, square, has fun gambling, watches sports, knows a little bit about the sports, and gambles on the sports that they love, the teams, the players.
So here are the trade details. The Mets receiving the second baseman, Javi Baez, and pitcher Trevor Williams. Pete Crow Armstrong, the outfielder, going the other way to the Chicago Cubs. Let's now welcome in our MLB insider and the former MLB executive, Jim Bowden. Jim, rumor.
Bring in our good friends Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas here to talk about exactly what we could see tomorrow. Luke, I'll start with you. We're going to go through this around the horn. Luke, the keys for Pitbull to defend his title.
I think Rashad had the right idea. If you look at the way in which McKee fight, including through this tournament, like the Derek Campos fight, you didn't get a whole lot of it in the Caldwell fight. But in the Campos fight, you see Jim McKee just kind of throwing a look at his opponents. He'll leap into takedowns or flying knees or kind of.
Our good friends Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas here to talk about
I don't have any
what
rights
we
to
could
the
see
background.
tomorrow. Luke, I'm going to start with you. We're going to go through this around the horn.
Radio station,
Luke, the keys for Pitbull to defend his title.
I think Rashad had the right idea. If you look at the way in which McKee fights, including through this tournament, like the Derek Campos fight, you didn't get a whole lot of it in the Caldwell fight. But in the Campos fight, you see AJ McKee just kind of throwing a look at his opponents. He'll leap into flying knees or kind of overextend himself, but then he wins these scrambles. The game just comes so naturally to him. But he kind of faded a little bit in the second round. He was able to pull out the triangle. I think a guy like Patricio, while he does have a guillotine, he can end a fight in a moment's notice. And of course, by ending power early too, we have seen the guy late. He is just as devastating in the fourth and fifth rounds, places that I think a guy like AJ McKee just can't say he's as battle tested. So for me, it's going to be weathering the storm a little bit early from AJ McKee, if that's doable, and then kind of marching him down late, taking him to places he's not been, using some of that accurate punching, the power punching, and again, if the submissions are there, to take it as well.
BC, same question for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk to everybody real quick.
It's time to trade hibernation for liberation, and you can count
I'm gonna leave it for a little bit.
Like #1 in dependability by JD Power.
The next time I'll be back
finishing
tomorrow for the UFC fight.
Are full of them. Though sometimes
I'll be on around noon,
together.
Mountain Time.
It can be a technical battle. I think this is
10,
something that's got to be a little bit. Both of these guys are such great counter strikers. They wait for their opponents to make mistakes and often jump in, and that's where you get the finish. For Pitbull,
I will be on at that time.
Range chess match.
You guys want to check me out on live?
That he does enough in the judges' eyes in terms of pressure and landing the bigger shots in order to potentially claim this victory. Should this go the full distance? You love about this matchup, and everyone's mentioned it.
So
each one really hasn't faced a fighter like the other one. This will be a unique challenge for both of them. And while Pitbull's used to going in there, throwing what he throws, waiting for his opponents